Hello everybody, welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make some cookies that I wanted to make in the lead up to Christmas, but I just didn't have time. And they're ideal for the autumn time, and I think because we're still in the winter they're still fine for that. And that's going to be a spicy soft molasses cookie with some chocolate in as well. It's quite a simple recipe, but it takes a little time because you have to chill the cookie dough once you've made it. So for the ingredients, I have 530 grams, which is 4 1/4 cups of plain flour. Then I have 227 grams, which is 2 sticks of unsalted butter, which I've cubed, and that's sort of softened or room temperature. I have 240 millilitres, 1 cup of molasses. You could use black treacle if you can't get molasses, that would be fine. I have 120 millilitres, 1/2 cup of milk. I have 1 medium egg, that would be large in the USA. I have 200 grams, 1 cup of caster sugar, granulated sugar would be fine. I have 30 grams, which is 5 tablespoons of cocoa powder. I have 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of cloves, ground cloves, 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and 2 teaspoons of baking soda there, and 1 teaspoon of salt. I also have 100 grams of dark chocolate, which I've chopped up into fairly small pieces, and I'm quite happy if it is all powdery. This was chocolate which I'd tempered for something else once before, and I had this left over, so I let it go solid and just chopped it up today. So that's all the ingredients, and I have a muffin tin and some bun tins, which I'll show you. So I have the muffin tin, and I have some bun tins which are shallow like that, and I'm actually going to cook my cookies or bake my cookies in these tins. It saves rolling out and such like. You can just hack off the pieces of dough and roll it into balls. So first of all, we need to make the batter, and we start off with just the sugar and the butter, and I'm going to use my stand mixer simply because it's going to be a lot easier to do that. So we'll mix the butter and the sugar until they're all nicely creamed together. So I've creamed that together, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scrape that down into the bottom of the bowl like that, and then I'm going to add in the egg and the molasses. Now hopefully the molasses will come out of my measuring cup quite easily. I greased the cup before I put the molasses in to help it come out. And that's almost perfect. There's just a little bit hanging, so I just scrape that out. And that's it. I'm going to mix those together. So that's nicely mixed together. I should say that you need to scrape down your bowl to make sure that you get everything incorporated. I'm just going to set that to one side for a moment. And I'm going to take the flour and I'm going to put the spices and the salt into the flour, and then the baking powder as well, and then the cocoa powder, but I'm going to sift the cocoa powder because it tends to have lumps in it, and we want it, we don't want the lumps to stay there. As you can see, it has lumps, so I'll just press those out like that. And then I'm going to mix that around just to get it combined. And then I'm going to add that into the molasses mixture in probably 3 additions, so about 1/3. And I'll alternate that with 2 additions of milk. So 1/3 of the flour, mix it in, and add 1/2 of the milk. And another 1/3 of the flour. I'm just going to give that a bit more of a turn so it's easier to put this in. And then I'm going to put the chopped up chocolate in as well. So that's all mixed, and what I need to do now is to chill that for at least an hour. I'll chill mine probably for 2 hours. So I'm going to put the cookie dough onto some plastic wrap. And then I'm going to flatten it down and because my plastic wrap is quite narrow, I'm going to use some more. So I'm going to flatten that to a couple of inches in thickness, and I'm going to put it into the fridge and I'm going to chill it, and I'll chill mine for 2 hours, I think, and then I would preheat my oven to 180 Celsius, that's 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit, and I'll come back and we'll cut this into pieces, roll it out and put it into our trays for baking. So I'll be back with you in a couple of hours and we'll go on to do that. So the dough has chilled for 2 hours, it's still sticky, and what I've done is I've got my oven preheating, as I said earlier, and I have a bowl of sugar, caster sugar, which I'm going to roll my dough in, but I've measured out 40 grams, which is this amount here, and I'm going to roll that into a bowl and then roll it in the sugar, and then with either the base of a glass, or I'm using one of my measuring cups, I'm going to just sugar the bottom of that as well, and with the ball of dough in the muffin cup, I'm going to press down so that it covers the bottom like that, and I'm going to do that until I've used all the dough up. So here are the first 2 trays. I've got enough dough which I've put back in the fridge to chill for a bit longer, and I will bake these off. I should say I sugared the bottom of my cup to press down on them so that it didn't stick, and I'm going to bake these in the oven for 12 to 15 minutes. They should spread to fill the base, and they will rise a little bit as well, and then when I know that they're cooked through, and probably about 13 minutes I would guess, I'll take them out of the oven, let them cool down, and I'll come back and show you the results. Well, I baked the spicy soft molasses cookies for 15 minutes. Now I have to say, the ones that I did in the muffin tin, the first 12 that I did in the muffin tin, they stuck to the bottom a little bit. So for the next 12 in the muffin tin, as well as greasing the tin, I floured it as well, and they came out fine. Just run a thin knife or an offset spatula round the edge, and then they tipped out quite nicely. So this is what they look like. These ones here are the ones that were in the bun tin, so they're shallower, and these are the ones that were in the muffin tin. And they bake very well, so I'll have a taste of this one. It's got a lovely texture to it, slightly cakey inside, but with the little bit of crunch of the cookie on the outside, and you've got the spice coming through, and the sort of silkiness, I think you might call it, of the chocolate. So they're very good, and well worth making. I just want to reiterate, flour the tins, grease and flour the tins before you do them. Of course, you could actually roll the dough out on a floured surface and flour the top of the dough as well, roll it out, and use cookie cutters to cut them out and put them on parchment paper. But this way worked quite well for me once I'd realised I needed to flour the tin as well. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below the video and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, which will take you to this recipe, and in that recipe I explain about flouring the tin. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future, so until then, happy baking.